Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is good to see you. Welcome to KREM 2 News at noon. I'm Nicole Hernandez in for Laura Papetti today. We do want to get straight to weather this afternoon because it is summer and it is starting to feel like summer. Our meteorologist Thomas Patrick is out in our outdoor weather center. Thomas, how warm is it already?
Yeah, we're starting to approach 80 degrees, and I'll tell you what, Nicole, it kind of feels like it's just going to be summer for the rest of summer. Isn't that right? Because our temperatures are just going to be in the 80s and seemingly 90s. Through as far as we can forecast up to this point, today included, already up to 77, which is a couple degrees warmer than it was as of the noon hour yesterday. But the only thing that is absolutely similar is where our thunderstorms are getting started. Right at the noon hour, right over Ferry County. How many times have I pointed this out at this exact time in the past several weeks? I don't know what it is about these mountains that always make the storms fire up first, but there we go. It is there on Doppler radar. A couple of these thunderstorms, they're not moving anywhere. So if you're in Republic, you're just seeing the clouds on either side of you to the west and to the east, but they're not moving towards you. You're probably just hearing some rumbling off into the distance there. And I can look at a few cumulus clouds just kind of skirting across the horizon here all around me, but no clouds directly above Spokane at the moment. So we'll call it mostly sunny, highs in the mid 80s for the rest of the day today, but we are still only climbing upwards temperature-wise from here. Our outlook remains above average and even more so heading into next week. So we'll show you how hot we're already forecasting the 4th of July to be here. That's all coming up in a couple minutes.
The man accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students, Brian Coburger, walked into the Latah County Courthouse yesterday for what we were thinking would be an afternoon full of hearings, but instead court was over within an hour. Coburger's defense asked for the training records of 3 officers who they say were critical parts of the investigating team. The defense is also asking for Coburger's cell phone records from the FBI and a report from an FBI forensic examiner who helped police look for Coburger's car, that white Hyundai Elantra.
These are things that we need to have. There is a heightened standard now that the state has filed this notice of intent to seek death.
So we are down to just... Prosecutors say, though, the defense has everything the state has, and they're still waiting to get more records from the FBI. Judge John Judge said he'd take those arguments and look at the case law, and will make an actual ruling later. And just yesterday, prosecutors announced they will seek the death penalty against Coburger if the jury finds him guilty. In new court documents, prosecutors say the killings were, quote, especially heinous, and Coburger exhibited, quote, utter disregard for human life. The end of this month will be the end of the area's 90-day due diligence plan to address homelessness. Back in March, if you remember, elected leaders from Spokane, Spokane Valley, Airway Heights, and Cheney agreed to work together on a regional plan to tackle the issue. Today, Spokane Unite shared its recommendations with the community. It was standing room only at the Spokane Convention Center this morning. Spokane Unite presented its recommendations for funding, staffing, and structuring of a regional authority on homelessness. Spokane Unite says the next 60 days will be for partnering agencies to review the proposed ideas. Then they'll start a 90-day transition period with the goal to be operational by January 1st.
This challenge isn't going away, and it's not decreasing right now. We need to be aggressive in how we address it so it doesn't continue to grow, because we've seen it grow, as you've seen the numbers. Our unsheltered numbers have grown.
According to the 2023 point-in-time count, Spokane County's homeless population grew by 36% in the last year. Coming up in our shows at 4, 5, and 6, we'll dive deeper into what next steps could look like in our region's fight to decrease homelessness. Spokane Valley City Hall is back under construction after officials noticed the building was starting to sink. The price of the construction could be upwards of $5 million. Now, this all started when an exterior wall started sinking and parts of the building started to crack. Since then, the mayor and council members have not been able to use city council chambers for months. In 2020, the city filed a lawsuit against Meridian Construction, the main contractor of the building, along with some other companies.
And in order to do that effectively, and one of the challenges another way, we actually have to go back to
the city has now brought in Garco Construction for the fix. They're expecting the exterior wall to be finished by this fall. 10 interior doors, the roof, and attic work may not be done until next summer, though. As for the city and the former contractors, if the two sides don't reach a settlement out of court, the case will then go to a trial set for August of 2024. And fentanyl continues to be a nationwide concern, and Eastern Washington is no stranger to its deadly effects. Today, Washington state, city, and tribal leaders came together here in Spokane to talk about the fentanyl crisis and potential solutions. Eastern Washington Congresswoman Kathy McMorris Rogers invited multiple agencies to the discussion in an hour-long conversation. Leaders and families affected by fentanyl talk about the damaging effects of drug misuse. A large discussion point was making sure children know how to protect themselves from the threat and distribution of fentanyl.
It was a real focus on making sure that we're doing more in our schools and educating our kids, the importance of supporting local law enforcement and the resource officers and the role that they play in helping raise awareness and make sure that people are aware of the threat.
Mayor Nadine Woodward agreed, saying our school curriculums need to include drug education. She says that education needs to start in elementary schools and be continued all the way through the high school level. She also says increasing the number of school resource officers can help build trust between students and local law enforcement.